Jocelyn, you're focused on investing in startups that are tackling problems that humans just can't address. Where do you see AI making the biggest impact?
One obvious target for AI is in healthcare. Pharmaceutical companies already turning to AI and machine learning to do better discovery of drugs and diagnostics. And I think it's also going to enable precision medicine, also going to enable research in fundamental areas like immunology, better models of human behavior, better models of the interactions of drugs, molecules, viruses. All these things I think are going to lead to incredible breakthroughs. Another one I know top of mind for absolutely everybody is climate. And I think this is, again, a place where being able to model the climate is an incredibly complicated system. It is too hard for humans to hold in our head. We are already using machine learning, big data to try to understand the interaction of weather and climate. But also we can look at machine learning as a way to gain more fundamental efficiencies, to use less energy, to make transportation more efficient, logistics more efficient, make grids more efficient, and sort of have that tighter loop with energy and with even how cities are designed. I think we're all really concerned right now with the economy, and the economy is something else. The global nature of our financial markets, of our labor markets, are incredibly hard to model. And I think that classic techniques for forecasting and predictions, machine learning is going to be able to overtake and sort of, again, help us better understand, what is the impact of a housing crisis in South America on, oil prices somewhere else. And so that kind of butterfly wing chaos theory, if we can better understand with machine learning and big data, we can make the whole globe more prosperous.
Well, how difficult is it for companies to adapt and innovate with artificial intelligence and machine learning compared to those that are startups and starting from scratch?
It is quite difficult because it is a technology architectural change. It is also a shift in business model, and it is also really a shift in mindset and culture. I think to be born an AI first, a data first startup, you have a completely different posture. Which is not to say that big companies cannot achieve it, but they're going to need to really commit.
What are the most important elements to ensure that you are an AI first startup?
To us, an AI first startup is one that from the outset has identified a problem that can be solved with data and with generally with machine learning, and that has identified what sources of data it's going to build the model with. And we like to say that we invest pre-traction and post-data. And what we mean by that is that you've managed to accumulate enough data to build a model that operates at some kind of accuracy. It may not be a production level of accuracy, but you've at least kind of demonstrated a technology breakthrough that the problem you're trying to solve can be solved with data.
One of the companies that you're invested in is Aptology. How is it using AI to ensure that you're hiring the right person for the right role?
There's quite a few startups that are promising to use machine learning to enable a more efficient hiring market, in essence. And what most of them are doing is looking at keywords on resumes and keywords in job descriptions and trying to match those up. And it turns out that has actually a relatively low success rate, because it turns out that the keywords in resumes and job descriptions are not actually very descriptive of most workers and most work. Aptology is doing something different. They're taking fundamental research in organizational psychology and behavior, and they administer a survey. So their data set is not a resume, but a survey of responses. And they have also a tremendous data set of on-the-job performance of people who portray different behavioral traits. And for each job has a unique profile of what set of behavioral traits would make someone most effective at that job. So they're actually able to make a prediction of that a candidate is truly a match for the nature of the work. You would get a very good read on whether this was a person who had the fundamental traits to do the job well and the potential to do the job well, even if that required some training.
There's a greater focus on data privacy and security. So I'm wondering, how is this impacting startups' ability to develop game-changing AI?
I think it's actually critical, because if startups build a business model that relies on violating security or violating privacy, fundamentally those companies are not going to thrive. They may get a temporary advantage, but ultimately it's going to come back to haunt them. I think a clear regulatory environment is actually the very best thing for innovation, because then we know the rules, we know the swim lanes, and we can work with them. I think this is, again, something that benefits startups who are building something from scratch versus an incumbent who's got to try to retrofit.